Yes, we are Team Orange. Hello there. May we begin?
We're missing some slides.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we're missing some slides.
We had some changes going on, and I guess they didn't update.
I gave folks till 10:30 to send me slides. After that, because I knew you guys were sending slides by 10, I planned stuff to do, so I only could work with what I got at that point.
Okay. I'll speak my dad. On the slide.
Sorry.
Thanks, Dan. So, surprise, not everybody talks the same, and that's important to understand and realize. There are many factors that influence the way people talk, such as cultures, gender, and your age. I bolded gender exactly like this, but the book hit on most on this chapter, so how the two genders communicate differently. It is important to understand these differences the best you can. It will help your professional communication as well as your interpretation. So it's not just how you communicate with others, it's also how you receive it. Sharing credit. Why is it used? I seems too self-promoting. Consequences of such. The speaker does not get credit, or may not. Seems like they may not offer good ideas in the future.
Acting modest. It's used because positive behavior can seem too boastful sometimes, but the consequences are it downplays the speaker's certainty and it seems to lack confidence and competence on the speaker's part.
Asking questions. If your boss is a bit of a weenie, he might lose some respect for you, thinking that you're ignorant and will skip you for some promotions. But on the other hand, if you don't ask questions, you're not sure about how to go about doing a project or assignment that you have, you could do it wrong, causing a lot more trouble. And secondly, it can give insight to others' ideas or opinions, allowing you to do some better work. Apologizing can help express compassion to others, letting them let you be on the same page, as well as owning up to your mistakes can help you gain respect from other people. Unfortunately, if you do that too often, other people might see you as weaker and less confident, or even use you as a scapegoat.
Giving feedback in a professional setting, the workplace, it's good to give talk about strengths rather than weaknesses that they did have in a presentation, say, because sometimes it could be misunderstood on their feedback. If you go into a presentation expecting feedback, the feedback that you do receive is going to be more beneficial, you appreciate it more, and women tend to get more compliments than men do in a setting like this. And then avoiding verbal opposition. Americans expect a ritual fight, which is present an idea and then wait for the response to get yourself into this verbal opposition. Sometimes it can be taken seriously to where other employees, other colleagues will take it personal and not really present their ideas where they probably should in certain settings. There's some firms that test graduates when they're put under pressure. They kind of give them a confrontational interview, and men tend to do better when they're underneath pressure like this. Women don't do as well, but then they found as women do become hired, and in time they do become better at this job than men do.
Managing out. So it's important not to talk about your achievements too much. You kind of come off as bragging or boasting, and it's kind of hard if you do your job a lot better than everyone else. It's hard to get that recognition for it, but it's not good. Being indirect. So I know personally I've had bosses that are very indirect about what they want, and it makes it super hard for me to respect what they're saying and do it, because it feels like they don't know what they're doing.
And then takeaways from this article, even though we've talked about all these different things, there's no single solution that will fit every context. The skill is to be aware of all the different types of linguistic styles that we talked about, and to be aware of what works with some people, might not work with another person, and how to make sure that everyone has an equal voice, or their voice is equally heard throughout a meeting. Managers develop more adaptive and flexible approaches to running or participating in those meetings based on linguistic styles. And if you take advantage of the talents of people with broad linguistic range of styles, you can make much better meetings, and hopefully everyone's voice is heard equally.
So, same question to you guys. What would you advise a young woman starting in a job? What would be your one biggest piece of advice based on what you've read?
Seek your credit out. If you don't feel like you're getting the recognition you deserve, say something. There's nothing wrong with speaking up.
How would you recommend she do that?
Yell. It's hard to ignore that.
Well, let's say yelling's off the table.
Present what work you did and show other people did not contribute to that.
Well, so I'm going to push you on this a little bit. Sounds a little bit like in order for her to be heard and respected, she should spend her time throwing people under the bus. Is that what you were driving at?
Is it really the throwing into the bus, or they're just trying to hold on to the back of it?
Well, it's just the
Is
way you said it. It sounded a little bit like you were suggesting she throw them under the bus. That's what I'm asking. Is that what you meant?
Suggesting being honest about who did what.
Uh-huh. So,
How would that go over with her coworkers, do you think?
If they're doing the same thing to her, do they have a right to get mad at her?
I don't think that's necessarily how it works in the workplace, but if you think so, yes. Try it out, see how that works out for you.
I'm a guy, I guess. Maybe I get to do that. I don't have the experience that you guys have, so. Yeah, go ahead, last one, Leah. Just give my experience here.
well, let's be fair. I think what you're hearing is a little bit of it's probably not the best idea to just sort of say, well, these two people did nothing or shit, and these people did something. And that's going to get you into trouble, the first part. If you're talking with your boss, it's a good idea to ensure that you do get credit for the work that you got. And it's also important to be clear about these people in the team did this work. If there really are some people in the team that didn't do any work, don't say it, just don't mention them as people that have done work, right?
I'm just thinking if you can avoid that in the actual work process, that'll make it a lot easier.
Well, of course.
Delegate tasks.
Yeah. I mean, if you're working in a team, you want all the people on the team functioning and contributing, and free riding does happen, and it's inevitable you'll run into it. So how do you manage it? Well, don't say, well, Jack didn't do anything and he's an asshole. Don't say anything about Jack. And, well, I know. Don't say,
Yes, I see what you mean.
don't say any, and your boss will understand it's implicit, and you come off looking as more of a gentleman for phrasing it that way. Does that address your concern? Who was it up front that was concerned about that? Do you think that's a fairer way to do it?
Yeah.
Cool. See, the professor's right this time. Yeah, don't throw people under the bus. Bad plan. So here's the next question. What about a guy? What would you guys recommend for a guy?
I'd say just treat everyone equally and make sure if someone's got a voice that you listen to them, no matter who they are or where they come from.
So what does equally mean?
I mean, if someone has something to say, I want to value their opinion, even if I don't agree with it.
All right, let me push you again on this. Somebody has an opinion about how to do something at work, and you know from your experience that that simply won't work because you've seen it tried 5 times in the past, and that particular approach in this particular context isn't going to work. Now what do we do?
I'd still like to listen to them and then
Say
talk it
exactly
out.
what you just said. Say my expertise, the 5 times I've done this, it has not worked. I
So,
value you and respect your opinion,
okay.
something like that.
We're going to talk about something called active listening a little later where we can address this kind of an issue. Because it is a tricky one, right? Because you don't want to make the person feel stupid, right? Especially if they're a newer employee. At the same time, you don't want them walking into a wall if you can avoid it, right? Great.